He jumped from a plane at 10,000 feet into a freezing storm at night wearing a business suit and loafers. The FBI calculated his survival odds at exactly 0. Impossible conditions. Impossible jump. Impossible to survive. But they never found his body, never found his parachute, never recovered the money. For 50 years, nothing. Until a kid found $5,800 buried on a riverbank 9 years later. Rotting bills. Serial numbers matched. But that's it. That's all they ever found. November 1971. This is D.B. Cooper, the only unsolved hijacking in American history. And I'm going to prove he didn't survive that jump. I'm going to prove he died that night. And I'm going to show you why his body vanishing completely fits the exact same pattern as the last 4 cases. Because D.B. Cooper didn't just disappear. He made an impossible choice that seemed rational to him. Just like Flight 19, just like the Mary Celeste, just like Dyatlov Pass. And what happened to him is going to make you question everything. Here's the pattern you need to understand. Because after 5 cases, it's undeniable. Day 1. Man from Taured insists reality is wrong. Vanishes from locked room. Day 2. Flight 19 reports ocean doesn't look right. 27 men vanish without trace. Day 3. Mary Celeste crew sees something, abandons perfect ship, cuts lifeline, dies. Day 4. Dyatlov Pass hikers see orange lights, cut through tent, run barefoot into negative 22 degrees. Day 5. D.B. Cooper hijacks plane, gets money and parachutes, jumps into conditions the FBI says are impossible to survive, vanishes completely. Every single case has the same signature. Experienced people making impossible choices, choices that seem insane from the outside, but made perfect sense to them in that moment. And then they disappear, completely, without trace. That's not 5 random coincidences. That's a pattern. That's something happening to people, something making them see safety as danger, making them choose death over life. And D.B. Cooper is the most documented case. We have witnesses. We have FBI files. We have physical evidence. We have flight data. We have weather reports. We have everything, and none of it makes sense. November 24th, 1971. Thanksgiving Eve, 2:50 p.m., Portland International Airport. A man walks up to the Northwest Orient Airlines counter, middle-aged, maybe late 40s, about 6 feet tall, 170 to 180 pounds, dark complexion, black hair, wearing a dark business suit, black tie, white shirt, black sunglasses, even though it's overcast, carrying a briefcase, calm, professional, polite. He buys a one-way ticket to Seattle, flight 305, pays cash, $20 bill. The name he gives, Dan Cooper. The ticket agent barely looks at him. Just another businessman, just another Thanksgiving traveler. Thousands of people flying that day. Nothing unusual, nothing suspicious, nothing memorable. He takes his ticket, thanks her, walks to the gate. Flight 305 is a short hop. Portland to Seattle. About 30 minutes in the air. The plane is a Boeing 727. 36 passengers total. Not crowded. Thanksgiving Eve. Most people already traveled. The ones flying now are stragglers, late travelers, business people working through the holiday. Cooper boards. Sits in seat 18C, rear of the plane, aisle seat. Sets his briefcase on his lap. Orders a bourbon and soda from the flight attendant. Her name is Florence Schaffner. She'll remember him later. But right now he's just another passenger, quiet, polite, drinks his bourbon, doesn't make conversation. 3:07 p.m. The plane takes off, climbs to cruising altitude. The flight is smooth. Weather is overcast, but not dangerous. Light rain. Normal November weather in the Pacific Northwest. The passengers settle in. Some read, some sleep, some stare out windows. Cooper sits quietly, finishes his bourbon, orders another, and then, about 10 minutes into the flight, he does something. He hands Florence Schaffner a note. She thinks it's his phone number. This happens sometimes. Businessmen hitting on flight attendants. She smiles politely, puts the note in her pocket without reading it, keeps walking. Cooper leans forward, speaks quietly. "You better look at that note. I have a bomb." She stops, turns, looks at him. He's not smiling, not joking, dead serious. She pulls out the note, opens it, reads it, and her blood runs cold. "Miss, I have a bomb in my briefcase. I will use it if necessary. I want you to sit next to me. You are being hijacked. Hit that like button right now if you just realize this man is about to pull off the perfect crime. Because he is. And nobody's going to stop him." Florence sits down next to him, trying to stay calm, trying not to panic. Cooper opens his briefcase slightly, just enough for her to see inside. Red cylinders, wires, a battery. It looks like a bomb. She doesn't know if it's real. She's not a bomb expert, but it looks real enough, and she's not going to risk it. Cooper speaks calmly, quietly, so other passengers can't hear. "Here's what I want. $200,000 in $20 bills, 4 parachutes, 2 back parachutes, 2 reserve chest parachutes. Have them ready when we land in Seattle. Refuel the plane, then we'll take off again. If you cooperate, nobody gets hurt. If you don't cooperate, I'll blow up the plane. Do you understand?" Florence nods. She understands. Cooper tells her to go tell the captain, calmly, don't cause panic. Just tell him we've been hijacked. Florence walks to the cockpit, knocks, enters, tells Captain William Scott they have a problem. She shows him the note, explains about the bomb. The captain doesn't believe it at first. Then he does. He radios Seattle, reports the hijacking, requests the money in parachutes, requests permission to land. The tower contacts the FBI. The FBI contacts Northwest Orient Airlines. The airline contacts their president. Everyone's trying to figure out what to do, how to handle this, whether to give him what he wants, whether to storm the plane, whether to try to trick him. The FBI makes a decision, give him what he wants, get the passengers off safely, then deal with him. They scramble to get the money, $200,000 in $20 bills, that's 10,000 bills. They have to get them from banks, bundle them, record the serial numbers. The FBI photographs every single bill, documents every serial number, so if any of the money shows up later, they can trace it. This takes time. Meanwhile, Flight 305 is circling Seattle, burning fuel, waiting. Cooper sits calmly in his seat, drinks another bourbon, doesn't seem nervous, doesn't seem worried, just waiting. The passengers don't know what's happening. The crew tells them there's a minor mechanical issue. They're going to land in Seattle. Apologize for the delay. Most passengers don't suspect anything. A few notice the flight attendants seem tense. But nobody panics. Nobody knows they're on a hijacked plane with a bomb. 5:24 p.m., 2 hours after takeoff. The money is ready. The parachutes are ready. Flight 305 gets permission to land. The plane touches down at Seattle-Tacoma International Airport, taxis to a remote area of the tarmac, away from the terminal, away from other planes. Cooper's instructions are clear. Park the plane. Bring the money and parachutes to the stairs. Release the passengers. Refuel the plane. The airline complies. A courier brings the money. A duffel bag, heavy, 21 pounds of cash. Another person brings the parachutes. 4 of them. 2 main back parachutes. 2 reserve chest parachutes. Military surplus. They leave everything at the bottom of the rear stairs. Back away. Cooper allows the passengers to deplane. All 36 passengers. They have no idea what's happening. They think it's a mechanical delay. They file off, grateful to be on the ground, relieved to make their Thanksgiving plans. They don't know they just survived a hijacking. The flight attendants leave too, except Florence Schaffner. Cooper wants her to stay. And the flight crew, Captain Scott, First Officer William Ratajczak, Flight Engineer Harold Anderson. That's it. 4 people left on the plane with a hijacker. Cooper brings the money and parachutes aboard, closes the rear stairs, tells the captain his next instructions. Fly to Mexico City, but here are the conditions. Fly low, below 10,000 feet. Keep the landing gear down. Keep the rear stairs extended. Fly slow, no faster than 150 knots. And to pressurize the cabin. The crew is confused. These are bizarre instructions. Flying that low, that slow with the stairs down, that's inefficient. Burns more fuel, limits range. But Cooper insists. The captain calculates. They can't make it to Mexico City with those conditions. They'll need to refuel. Cooper agrees. Refuel in Reno, Nevada. Then continue to Mexico. The captain files a new flight plan. The plane takes off. 7:40 p.m., about 4 hours after the hijacking began. Headed south. Low altitude, slow speed. Rear stairs extended into the darkness, into the storm. Here's where it gets interesting, and by interesting, I mean impossible. Comment below if you've ever jumped out of a plane. Because I want you to tell me if what I'm about to describe is survivable. Because the FBI says it's not. Every expert says it's not. But Cooper does it anyway. At 8 p.m., somewhere over southwest Washington, Cooper tells Florence to go to the cockpit. Stay there. Close the door. Don't come out. She goes, closes the door. The crew watches their instruments. They have an indicator light that shows when the rear stairs are deployed. It's already lit because the stairs are down. But there's also pressure sensors, weight sensors, ways to tell if someone is on the stairs. At approximately 8:13 p.m., they feel a pressure bump, a change in the aircraft, a slight upward movement, like weight just left the plane. The indicator fluctuates. Someone just went off the back. Cooper jumped. The crew radios it in. Contact the FBI. He's gone. He jumped. They continue to Reno. Land. FBI swarms the plane, searches every compartment, every bathroom, every storage area. Cooper's not there. He definitely jumped. They find his tie clip, 8 cigarette butts. That's it. That's all he left behind. The parachutes are gone. Well, 2 of them. He took 2 parachutes, left 2 behind, and the money. The money's gone. All $200,000. He jumped with 21 pounds of cash strapped to his body from 10,000 feet at night in a storm. Let me describe the conditions so you understand how impossible this is. November 24th, 1971, 8:13 p.m., southwest Washington State, the Cascade Mountains, dense forest, rough terrain, freezing rain, wind gusts up to 45 miles per hour, temperature at 10,000 feet, approximately 7 degrees below zero. He's wearing a business suit, a thin raincoat he got from one of the flight attendants, loafers, dress shoes, no boots, no cold weather gear, no gloves, no hat. He has $200,000 in a duffel bag, 21 pounds, strapped to his body somehow. He has one parachute on his back, one reserve parachute on his chest. He's jumping from the rear stairs of a Boeing 727. The plane is flying at 150 knots. That's 173 miles per hour. He's jumping into the slipstream of a jet engine, into hurricane-force wind, into total darkness, overcast, no moon, no stars, no ground reference, no way to see where he's going, no way to judge altitude, no way to know when to pull the ripcord, into freezing rain, into wind shear, over mountains and forest, with no training visible, no evidence he's ever jumped before. The FBI investigates his background later. Dan Cooper is a fake name. They never identify him, but they find no evidence he's military, no evidence he's trained, no evidence he knows what he's doing. Let me tell you what happens when you jump from a plane at 10,000 feet. Your terminal velocity is about 120 miles per hour. Free fall speed. You have approximately 60 seconds before you hit the ground if you don't pull your chute. That's not a lot of time. Professional skydivers pull their chutes at around 3,000 to 5,000 feet. That gives them margin for error, time to deal with problems. But Cooper's jumping at night, in the dark, in freezing rain. He can't see the ground, can't see his altimeter, can't judge his altitude. If he pulls too early, he'll drift in the wind for miles, land nowhere near where he planned. If he pulls too late, he dies, and he's jumping with 21 pounds of cash. That's additional weight. That affects his fall rate, his stability, his ability to control his body. Professional skydivers train for years to handle extra weight, to maintain stability, to control their descent. Cooper has none of that training. As far as anyone knows, he's never jumped before. And he's jumping in the worst possible conditions. The FBI launches the largest manhunt in American history. They know approximately where he jumped. The crew reported the pressure change. They know the flight path. They know the altitude. They narrow it down to a search area, Southwest Washington, near the town of Ariel, near Lake Merwin, the Cascade Mountains, dense forest. The FBI sends hundreds of agents, search and rescue teams, helicopters, dogs. They search for weeks, looking for a body, looking for a parachute, looking for the money. They find nothing, not a trace, not a shred of parachute, not a single bill, not a body, not even a sign he was ever there. They expand the search, months, years, volunteers search, treasure hunters search, documentary crews search. For 50 years, people are searching, and they find nothing, except for one thing. February 10th, 1980, 9 years after the hijacking, a kid named Brian Ingram is on a family camping trip on the Columbia River near Vancouver, Washington. About 20 miles downstream from the suspected jump zone, he's playing on a sandbar, digging in the sand, building something, and he finds money, rotting, decayed, buried in the sand. He pulls it out, shows his parents. They look at the bills, $20 bills, old, damaged, but readable, serial numbers still visible. They take them to authorities. The FBI checks the serial numbers. They match. D.B. Cooper's ransom money, $5,800, 290 bills, bundled together, buried about 3 feet deep in the sand, rotten, decayed, like they'd been there for years. That's it. That's all they ever find. 290 bills out of 10,000. Less than 3% of the money. The rest? Gone. Never recovered. Never spent. Never found. Stop right here and think about this. $200,000 in marked bills, serial numbers documented, FBI watching for decades, And nobody ever spends them. Nobody ever tries to deposit them. Nobody ever uses them. Either Cooper died and the money's buried somewhere, nobody's found it, or Cooper survived and was too smart to ever spend marked bills. But if he survived, where is he? Where's the parachute? Where's his body? Where's any evidence he lived through that jump? Comment below right now if you think he survived, because I'm about to show you why survival was impossible. The FBI consults experts, skydivers, military paratroopers, people who jump out of planes professionally. They ask, could someone survive this jump? The unanimous answer, no. Here's why. First, the conditions. Jumping at night with no visibility is extremely dangerous. Professional skydivers don't do it. Military doesn't do it except in extreme circumstances with training and equipment. Cooper had neither. Second, the altitude. 10,000 feet is high. You need oxygen above 12,000 feet. At 10,000 feet, you're borderline. The cold affects your body. Your fingers go numb. Your decision-making suffers. You're not thinking clearly. Third, the temperature. 7 degrees below zero at altitude. Factor in wind chill from 173-mile-per-hour slipstream. You're looking at temperatures that cause instant frostbite. He's wearing a suit and loafers. No gloves, no protection. His hands would freeze within seconds. He wouldn't be able to pull the ripcord. Fourth, the wind. Jumping into 173-mile-per-hour slipstream is like jumping into a wall. It flips you, spins you, disorients you. Professional skydivers jump from stationary positions or slow-moving aircraft, not from the back of a jet at 173 miles per hour. Fifth, the weight. 21 pounds of cash strapped to his body. That affects everything: his stability, his fall rate, his ability to control his descent. And if the bag shifts or comes loose during free fall, it throws him into a spin, an uncontrollable tumble, fatal. The FBI interviews the parachute rigger, the person who packed the chutes Cooper took. They learned something disturbing. One of the parachutes Cooper took was a training chute, a dummy. It was sewn shut, couldn't deploy. It was in the batch by mistake. If Cooper took that as his main chute, he died instantly. The rigger doesn't know which one Cooper took. The FBI never finds the parachutes, so they don't know if Cooper jumped with a chute that couldn't open. But there's a 50% chance he did. And even if he got the good chute, there's the problem of deployment. He's in free fall, tumbling, disoriented, freezing. He has to find the ripcord, pull it, hope the chute deploys correctly, in total darkness, in freezing rain, with numb fingers. And if the chute does deploy, then what? He's under canopy, in the dark, in high winds, over mountains and forest. He can't see where he's going, can't steer effectively, can't pick a landing zone. He's drifting, at the mercy of the wind. He could land in trees, hang suspended 100 feet up, freeze to death. He could land on a mountain slope, break his legs, die of exposure. He could land in water. The Columbia River is down there, weighted down with cash, drown. Every scenario ends in death. But let's say he beats the odds. Let's say he deploys the chute, lands safely, doesn't break anything, doesn't drown, doesn't freeze. Now what? He's in the middle of nowhere, Cascade Mountains, dense forest, November, freezing, wet, dark. He's wearing a business suit and loafers. He has no survival gear, no food, no water, no map, no compass, no flashlight. He has $200,000 in cash, which is useless in the wilderness. He needs to get to civilization, walk out. But which direction? He doesn't know where he is, doesn't know which way to go. The terrain is brutal. Steep slopes, dense underbrush, rivers, ravines. It's November, Days are short, nights are long, it's cold, it's wet. Hypothermia sets in fast. He'd need to build a fire, build shelter, find water, find food, survive until he can walk out. Professional survivalists struggle in these conditions. Cooper's a guy in a suit. The odds of him walking out alive are effectively zero. And yet, no body, no parachute, no evidence, just 290 rotting bills on a riverbank 9 years later. So what happened? Where is he? Let me show you something. Let me show you how D.B. Cooper fits the exact same pattern as the last 4 cases. Because once you see it, you can't unsee it. Day 1. Man from Taured arrives at airport. Insists his country exists. Reality is wrong. Vanishes from locked room. No evidence he was ever there. Day 2. Flight 19 takes off. Experienced pilots report ocean looks wrong, reality looks wrong. Fly away from safety, 27 men vanish, no wreckage, no bodies, no evidence. Day 3. Mary Celeste sails Atlantic, experienced captain. Sees something, ship seems wrong. Abandoned safety, cuts lifeline, 10 people die, ship sails empty. Day 4. Dyatlov Pass, 9 expert hikers. See orange lights, tent seems dangerous, cut through it, run barefoot into death. Bodies found with impossible injuries. Day 5. D.B. Cooper hijacks plane, gets money, gets parachutes, jumps into impossible conditions, makes a choice that guarantees death, vanishes completely. No body, no parachute, almost no evidence. Every single case, experienced people making impossible choices. Choices that seem insane from outside, but made sense to them in the moment. And then they vanish, completely, or die in impossible circumstances. That's not 5 random events. That's a pattern. That's the same thing happening 5 times. And here's what nobody talks about. Here's what makes D.B. Cooper different from a normal criminal. Normal criminals want to survive, want to enjoy their money, want to get away clean. Cooper doesn't act like that. He doesn't plan an escape. He doesn't arrange pickup. He doesn't stash supplies. He doesn't prepare. He just jumps into conditions that guarantee death, with marked money he can never spend, into terrain he can't survive. Why? What's the point? If you're going to die anyway, why hijack the plane? Why take the money? Why go through the whole plan? Unless the point wasn't survival, unless the point was something else, unless Cooper saw something, experienced something, something that made jumping seem like the rational choice, like the safe choice, even though it guaranteed death. I'm going to tell you what I really think happened, and half of you are going to hate this. But stay with me, because the evidence supports it. I think D.B. Cooper jumped from that plane expecting to die. I think he knew he wouldn't survive. I think that was the point. I think something happened to him, something before that flight, something that made death seem preferable to life, something that made jumping from a plane at 10,000 feet seem like an escape, not from the FBI, but from something else, something worse. Look at his behavior. He's calm, polite, professional, drinks bourbon, no panic, no stress, no fear. He's not acting like someone committing a desperate crime. He's acting like someone completing a mission, going through the motions, following a plan. And when it's time to jump, he just does it. No hesitation, no second thoughts. Just steps off into the void, into certain death. Why? What makes death preferable to $200,000 in freedom? Unless he experienced the same thing the others experienced, the same reality breakdown, the same impossible perception shift. Maybe he looked at the ground and it didn't look like ground. Maybe he looked at the storm and it looked like safety. Maybe reality shifted for him the same way it shifted for Flight 19, the same way it shifted for the Mary Celeste crew, the same way it shifted for Dyatlov Pass hikers. And jumping seemed like survival, seemed like escape, seemed like the only rational choice. And once he jumped, he entered whatever took the others, whatever space they went to, whatever reality they shifted into, and he vanished. His body didn't land in Washington Forest. It went somewhere else, somewhere we can't access, somewhere outside our normal reality. That's why they never found him. That's why only 3% of the money turned up. That's why there's no parachute, no evidence, no trace. Because he's not in our reality anymore. You think I'm crazy. You think I'm making this up. So let me ask you directly. Give me a better explanation. One explanation that accounts for all the evidence. A man jumps from a plane in impossible conditions, wearing a suit and loafers, at night, in freezing rain, wind, over mountains, with no training, with marked money he can never spend. He has everything to lose and nothing to gain, and he just does it, calmly, without hesitation, then vanishes completely. No body in 50 years, no parachute, no evidence except 290 bills that appeared 9 years later on a riverbank 20 miles from the jump zone. How did they get there? How did they end up buried in sand? How come nobody found the other 97% of the money? Explain that naturally. I'm waiting. Drop your explanation in the comments right now. Use all the evidence, not just the parts that fit your theory. Subscribe right now because tomorrow is day 6 of 7, the Bermuda Triangle, December 1945. Again, because Flight 19 wasn't the only disappearance that day. The rescue plane they sent to find Flight 19, it vanished too. 13 more men, gone. Within hours of Flight 19 disappearing, same area, same conditions, same complete absence of wreckage. And I'm going to show you there were 3 more disappearances in the Bermuda Triangle in 1945 alone. 3 more incidents the Navy buried. 3 more times reality broke down and people vanished. Turn on all notifications. This series builds. Each video is a piece. By day 7, you're going to see what connects all of them. What's been happening for over a century. What's still happening now. Miss tomorrow and you miss the pattern. Here's what I want from you right now. Put yourself in D.B. Cooper's position. You've hijacked a plane. You have $200,000. You have parachutes. The FBI is going to be looking for you. But you have a head start. You could land safely, hide the money, walk out, disappear into a new life. You have options. You have a chance. Why jump into a storm at night over mountains? What makes that seem like the better choice? Build me a scenario. Make it make sense. Because every rational explanation says, don't jump. Land with the plane. Take the pilots hostage. Force them to land somewhere remote. Escape on the ground. That's the smart play. That's the survival play. Jumping is suicide. So why did he do it? What did he see? What did he experience? What made jumping seem rational? Team he survived or team he died? Pick one. Defend it. If you say survived, explain the lack of body, parachute, and money for 50 years. Explain how he survived impossible conditions. Explain why he never spent any marked bills. If you say died, explain where his body is. Explain why they never found evidence in the largest manhunt in history. Explain the 290 bills on the riverbank. Explain it all, not just part of it. Every theory has holes. Fill them. Or admit maybe something else happened, something outside normal explanation, something that's been happening for a century, something that takes people, removes them from reality, makes them vanish completely. And here's the detail I haven't told you yet. Something about tomorrow's video that connects directly to today. The rescue plane that went looking for Flight 19? It took off at 7:27 p.m. It had 13 men aboard, experienced crew. They radioed their position. Then nothing. Radio went dead. Plane vanished. 13 more men gone. Within 4 hours of Flight 19 disappearing, same area, same ocean, same conditions, the Navy searched for both, found nothing. Not a single piece of wreckage, not a life raft, not a body, not an oil slick, nothing. 27 men from Flight 19, 13 men from the rescue plane, 40 men total, vanished in one day from the same area. And the Navy called it as if they flew to Mars, as if they left our reality completely. Tomorrow, I'm going to show you the Navy knew more than they admitted. I'm going to show you classified documents, witness testimony they buried, evidence they sealed for 75 years, and I'm going to prove the Bermuda Triangle isn't a myth. It's a documented phenomenon, a real place where reality breaks down, where people vanish, where the pattern happens again and again. Day 6 of 7, tomorrow. Turn on notifications. See you then.